Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Josh sent me a note about a story, and it's a short story, but I did some more research on it afterwards because I think it's an interesting topic. And I've mentioned before that the Constitution prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. And it's one of those rare examples where a conjunction versus something that's disjunctive makes a huge, huge difference. So cruel and unusual punishment is wrong, but cruel or unusual punishment is not wrong. And we'll get to that. So from the story here from KFOR, Oklahoma City, man sentenced to holidays in jail until 2026 after deadly accident. A judge in McLean County has sentenced a man to spend holidays in jail stemming from a deadly accident back in March of 2020. Previous reports about the scene of the day of the incident, it happened at I-35 near Wayne. Crash killed a 63-year-old woman. All northbound lanes of the interstate were closed for several hours while the wreckage was cleared, and that resulted in traffic delays. So this was a very, very serious, fatal accident. And in case you don't know this, and I learned this back when I drove a tow truck, if an accident involves a fatality, it escalates things with respect to how they actually study the accident. So if there's an accident with a fender bender, no injuries, they'll just come by and just get them off the road. But if there's an accident with a fatality, it's like, no, we got to start taking pictures and stuff because there might be very, very serious charges levied, and there were. So earlier this year, a man pleaded guilty to manslaughter for that accident. And so the judge then gave him an unusual sentence. So according to the records, the man must spend all of the major holidays in jail for the next 3 years. Now, there's a little bit of a issue here with some of the dates, but it looks to me like he's got to spend Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's in jail in 2024, 2025, and 2026. So for 3 years, major holidays, he comes back and sits in jail. Okay? So some people are going to ask, is that okay? Is that right? Well, it is. In case you're curious, on the day of the holiday, he must check in before 8 a.m. and cannot be released before the next day at 5 p.m. Those probably count as 2 days in jail, by the way. But so he's going to spend the holidays in jail. Now, some people, again, are going to say, is that okay? Can you do this? And actually, you can, and there's a couple reasons you can. Number one, this is simply time in jail. So sentencing to someone for time in jail is actually the most common thing that happens when somebody gets sentenced. Now, is it cruel to make him miss holidays? Well, people miss holidays all the time in jail. Is it unusual? Well, it's a little unusual, but it's not so unusual as to make it crazy. And so the judge is just saying, look, I'm going to make you spend holidays in jail. And I think it's right, especially if you look at it and go, there's a victim here who gets no more holidays. But it made me start thinking about unusual sentences. And I've discussed this before, that the Constitution prohibits cruel and unusual sentences. So if it's cruel but not unusual, like capital punishment, then it's okay according to the Constitution. And if it's not cruel but unusual, like go stand in the corner with a sign that says, I'm a thief, that's okay too. But what happens most of the time is the courts will look at somebody and say, I'm going to tell you what, for what you did, I'm going to send you to jail for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it might be. Or let's make a deal. Behind door number 2, you can do the following things, and then the judge can give them an alternative sentence. And quite often, the alternative sentence is something that will make the defendant think about what they did. And so I found examples of 6 other alternative defenses that were so strange that they made headlines. Out of Paynesville, Ohio, I've got 2, both from the same Lake County judge. This one here, in 2018, the judge ordered an 18-year-old man who knocked over a porta potty in a park to scoop manure at a local fair and parade. He said, you act like an animal, you're going to take care of animals. So the man had been convicted of criminal mischief, and he said, judge did, you can go to the county fair with the horses and goats and cows and pigs and sheep, and after the fair, you can shovel out their crap. And that's a quote. I apologize for using such a foul word. Again, I'm certain that the judge would have said, oh, you don't want to do that? Fine. Go sit in jail for whatever the length of time is that you can get. The other one he made the news for was he gave an 18-year-old woman a choice between 30 days in jail or walking 30 miles after she didn't pay a cab driver for a 30-mile trip. She decided to take the hike, which was a condition of her probation for theft. So I'm sure the judge said you got to pay the cab driver. But when you skip out on a fare and the guy catches you and you get prosecuted for it, you can't, I'll pay it now. The judge said, so what I'm going to do is either you sit in jail for 30 days or you go hike for 30 miles and we'll document it. Just to show you what this is all about. A story out of Tyler, Texas. This one is kind of unusual, more so than otherwise. And some people are to say this is both cruel and unusual. In August 2015, a Smith County judge, Randall Rogers, gave a defendant a choice after getting into a fight with his girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. Either marry the girlfriend or spend 15 days in county lockup. He chose the marriage, which was a condition of his probation for assault, along with counseling and writing out Bible verses. Now, here's the thing. I know some people are going to say, Steve, these sound like Snopes stories. I double-checked every single one, and I found each of them cited more than once in legitimate news sources with dates, locations, and all matched up. So these are all true stories, as far as I can tell. Out of Lansing, Michigan, Clinton County judge ordered a motorist to go without a cell phone for 2 years after she struck and killed a bicyclist during a distracted driving incident. USA Today reported the victim's husband actually suggested the unusual punishment, which was part of a sentence that also included 2 years of probation and 90 days in jail. So as part of her probation, she could not have a cell phone. And that, to many people, would be worse than walking 30 miles or marrying somebody. Out of Florida, a judge learned a defendant's domestic violence charge stemmed from marital spat for not acknowledging his wife's birthday. Instead of locking up the husband or setting a bond, the judge ordered the husband to buy flowers and a birthday card and take his wife to Red Lobster and bowling, activities she told the judge she enjoyed, according to Sun Sentinel. The judge also ordered the couple to start seeing a marriage counselor within a week. And that's one where, when I first read that, I'm like, oh, Red Lobster and bowling. But apparently that's what she wanted to do. So judge said, how about this, guys? Actually go on a date and stop hitting each other. And then just before Christmas in 2013, out of Montana, a judge ordered a man convicted of punching his girlfriend to write, "Boys do not hit girls," 5,000 times. LA Times reported that the writing assignment was in addition to 6 months in jail for misdemeanor assault and a $3,800 fine to pay for the woman's medical bills. The judge ordered the defendant to mail him his 5,000 sentences from behind bars. So the guy's sitting in jail. He's got nothing better to do. He can write that sentence out after he punched his girlfriend. Boys do not hit girls 5,000 times. Some people would be offended by it, going, but Steve, this guy's a grown man. She's obviously a woman. But it is a lesson that you're supposed to learn as a child. And likewise, you could just as easily say people don't hit each other, because there are people out there who are quick to lash out in anger because they think that's an acceptable form of discussion. And it's no, it's not. No. So boys do not hit girls. Boys don't hit boys. Girls don't hit girls. Boys, no. Just stop the hitting altogether. But again, these are legitimate sentences that were handed down. And again, it gets you back to, I've been asked repeatedly, and some people don't understand this, is that a judge can look at you and say, you can spend a year in jail or go hike 30 miles and prove to me you did it. It's your choice. So you can take the jail time, which is always appropriate, or you can waive the jail time and take the hike. Now, some of these things actually were hybrid, meaning that you're going to get a year in jail or 30 days in jail and go hike 30 miles, that kind of thing. And so it's up to you. If you don't want the strange, unusual punishment, then opt for jail. But most people go, let me think. I can go to jail for a year or write something out 5,000 times and do 30 days. Most people say, well, I'll do the 30 days while I'm in there. I'll write this stuff out, And when somebody assaults somebody else and actually hits them, assault and battery, actual contact made, you better bet that the judge had some options in front of him of things he could do to somebody that were a lot less severe than making them write out sentences like they were in 6th grade. But I see how these things work, and I actually agree that creative sentencing is actually, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Here, it's not so much creative sentencing in that sense, because I think here the judge was simply trying to make a point to somebody that what you did causing the death of a 63-year-old person, mere jail time does not substitute for that. It doesn't. And that's one of the sad things about our legal system, and I've mentioned this before, is our legal system can't actually make anybody whole for the most part. So in a wrongful death case, somebody gets money, but the person doesn't come back to life. You lost a limb in an accident, you get money. They can't make your limb grow back like it was. And so there's somebody before the court. They caused the death of somebody. A bunch of people come in and testify about the impact this has had on their lives, victim impact statements. And the judge goes, you know something? I think one way that I can really emphasize this is by making this person come and sit in jail on the holidays for 3 years. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's Eve. So you're going to come in 9 times and sit here, but just all 9 times would be holidays. And is that cruel? Not really. People spend holidays in jail all the time, like I said. Is it unusual? A little bit, yeah. Is it unconstitutional? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So there you go. Josh, thanks for sending that. KFOR, Oklahoma City. Man sentenced to holidays in jail until 2026 after deadly accident, but at least he wasn't ordered to marry somebody. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Life is not a journey to the grave. It's an adventure to be set out on with courage and optimism.